Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zest Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, like every other day, it is an absolute honor to welcome a woman whose work reaches into the hidden layers of the human mind, helping people rewrite the quiet yet powerful beliefs that shape their lives. Kim is a certified hypnotherapist and RTT, rapid transformational therapy practitioner, who knows firsthand how it feels to be stuck, caught in cycles of self-doubt, disconnected from purpose, and repeating familiar patterns in life and love. I hear you. But rather than stay there, Kim uncovered the incredible power of the subconscious mind for healing and has since devoted herself to guiding others through the same inner alchemy. Wow, I am so excited to speak with her. What if you could call luck? And what if what we call luck isn't chance at all, but a reflection of the stories running through beneath the surface? In this conversation, we will explore just that. Get ready to dive seriously deep into the subconscious mind and the stories we carry, and how real transformation begins not from doing more, but from becoming more aware. Let's do this. Welcome, Kim. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's so lovely to speak to you. And we've already said, the viewers are not going to know this, but we already said before we even started recording, there's a really good vibe going on here and some alignment that we can already feel. So I'm really excited to get this conversation going.
Absolutely. And I don't know if I have revealed this before, but I've revealed it to you. So I just want to openly reveal it just so people really understand about particularly the word alignment that you use, which is really powerful. I do this thing of course, I send out the request to all my guests asking for their bios beforehand to create their lovely introductions. But I purposely do not read them until it could be couple of hours before or the day of starting the session, which I did with yours. And when I read it, it was literally like I was reading my own life. It was like I was reading my own life. Apart from obviously you're going to dive much deeper into it. You've got like your qualifications and things are just outstanding. But the things that you wrote, I was like, oh yeah, I hear you. I need this more than just the viewers. Like, I am so excited for what you're going to reveal. So with that in mind, let's really just start with, do you know what? We're just going to dive straight in. Let's start with repeated patterns, those annoying repeated patterns, because whether people are aware of them or not, and I'm sure people who aren't are really going to have a reflection today and be like, oh yeah. Let's just start there.
Okay, so yeah, I noticed in my own life that certain things, it was like there was a theme reoccurring in different areas of my life, and sometimes the same themes. So for example, abandonment in relationships, but also in my financial situation, and when it came to opportunities, right? And my whole life, I always thought there must be a little bit more to it, but I just could not fathom how we, for example, in relationships, always seem to find the same partner with a different face, but the same behaviors. How does that happen, right? They don't have it written on their forehead. How do we know, right? How do we choose those same kind of people over and over again? How do we get into similar circumstances over and over and over again? And the question had been bugging me for a while, and I started to get very interested in metaphysical teachings of Neville Goddard, of Joe Dispenza. I think it even started with Abraham Hicks. What's her name?
Yeah.
Abraham. The secret.
Esther.
Right?
Esther.
Esther, Esther. Right. She goes by Abraham, I think.
I think that's who she channels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Abraham Hicks. Oh no, she's Esther Hicks. Anyway, let's carry on.
We know who it is, yes. So I started to get very interested in it, but I still didn't really know where I was standing with it. I think the person who really aligned with me the most, or the teacher, was Neville Goddard, who obviously talks about the law of assumption and how your assumptions basically form your reality. And I thought that was so interesting, that our thoughts create. And I'd been working in, several different industries. I worked in hospitality for many, many years. I'm a musician as well and a model, so I always had like a few different things going on for myself. But I didn't really find the one thing that I would call my purpose, my calling, the one thing that I really want to get up for in the morning. But when I hit rock bottom in hospitality, I started to say, please, universe, just show me a way. I just need to know what my calling is in this world. And I came across Marissa Peer's teachings. And she started to talk about similar things, which is your beliefs create. Your beliefs are, your subconscious patterns are what drive you into the same situations. And it started to all click together. So all the information I'd been collecting beforehand started to form a little bit of a storyline. I saw there were similarities between all of these teachings, which is like, it's all coming down to the thoughts you're thinking. It's all coming down to, your subconscious programming. If you want to change, you've got to change the way you think, who you say you are. What are the words that follow your I am, right? It's all the same. And when I started the training, I just saw how I had created the same patterns on autopilot my whole life. And I finally understood what those beliefs actually were and how to change them. And it's been such an incredible journey of personal growth, really changing the way I see the world and the way I see myself, and feeling so much more empowered than I did before. And it is really that. It is really about understanding why you are the way you are, how you've been creating on default mode, and taking back your power and really understanding you have all the choice. You call all the shots. The decisions are up to you, how you want your life to be and who you want to be in this world.
That's so beautiful, and you just said so many powerful things. And I think one thing, just to take it back a little bit, because I felt like you really touched on so many beautiful things. And one thing that you really said that I think a lot can relate to, because the things often which you'll probably notice of this subconscious mind and all this, it's not always very relatable when people don't understand what almost, I always see it like a box that you open and say like, huh, what's going on, where's the instructions? And then you kind of try to close it, but you've already opened it, so it's like and then, like what you say, things and people and like the dots will start to like link up, and then you start to get it. So what I think you said that's really relatable, that everyone can relate to, is getting yourself out of bed. Something that you can finally feel like you want to get out of bed. And we're not saying that in the literal way. Just that, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's even the point? It's that kind of like, what's the point even getting up? And so what I really loved, and correct me if I heard this wrong, but what I felt like I heard that you said, which I can 100% relate to, is it's not necessarily that all of a sudden you're going to start doing this and then your house is different and it changes. Like, obviously, eventually down the line, we want changes in our life. But from my understanding of it, and what I realized is I could change location, I could change relationship, I could change friendships, I could change jobs, but those patterns, and it isn't anything to do with the people, it's to do with me, because it was me who was giving myself the sorry stories, the victim mentality. And I'm not saying that that's what you people will be living in, but I could keep moving and it's this person and it's that thing and it's this and oh, this is happening again. Oh, I picked another place like this. But we have to somehow turn that thing around sometimes and say, okay, well, process of elimination, who's the one or what's the one thing that's still here right now? Oh, me. So what my understanding of what you said was, which I had to really, really learn, was it's not about where, it's not about who, it's not about the job necessarily. It's about how you feel about it all. Because even now, and it's not saying now we just start tolerating things, that's not what I'm saying, but you just have a different way of looking at things and showing up to things and relating to things once you open your mind a little bit more. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so let's talk about cause and effect.
Beautiful.
Because I think that will really make you understand, or make the viewers as well understand of what role you play in all of this, right? So what you see outside of yourself, the reality that you are witnessing, the repeating patterns that you're seeing, they are effect, they are not cause. Cause always goes down to your inner world. So your inner world is the cause, your outer world is the effect. So if you look outside of yourself for, I need to change this, this person is to blame, this circumstance is the reason why I don't have this yet, you're going to get lost in the effect. If you want to see a different outcome, you have to start looking at things differently, which is what you said as well. What meaning are you attaching to certain things, right? It comes down to that. But it also comes down to, what is my autopilot? What am I recreating over and over again? What is my inner world saying about the outer world? So for example, let's give the viewers an example, right? So let's say you keep dating people who are always avoidant. Right? And they neglect you, and the minute it gets close, they pull away. Instead of saying, all of these people that I previously dated are wrong, you want to ask yourself, how are they the matching puzzle piece to my pattern?
Yeah.
Wow. Right? Powerful. So you go back and you look at, what am I actually presenting that makes them fit perfectly to me? And usually when it comes to avoidant partners, we must have a story about ourselves that our needs cannot be met. Our needs for closeness cannot be met, right? I am too much, so people pull away because I am too much. I'm not good enough, so the minute I have needs, that's too much for people to deal with, so they go away, they look for someone else who's better than me, right? These are the stories you want to get to the root of, because this is really what you need to do. You need to look at yourself. Who am I identifying as, and how are they reflecting that back to me? And it's not saying, oh, if they are avoidant, that must mean there's something avoidant about me. That's not what I mean when I say reflection, right? Reflection means you're thinking something about relationships and you in connection to relationships, and they are showing it to you, right? They are just like, here it is. Here are all of the reasons why you cannot have what you want. And that's what you need to pay attention to. And that's what you need to tweak and change, right? So if you have that pattern, you want to tell yourself, my needs do matter. I am not too much, never too much, right? People can't get enough of me because I'm so amazing and magnetic. That's where your mindset should be. And then watch the shifts. Then the outer world will change. But if you never change yourself and you go into the world trying to manipulate and change everything forcefully outside of you, telling people who they should be, right? Telling your boss, this is unfair, why am I not getting this position, right? Nothing's going to change because it's got to do with your story. So start with that.
Beautiful. And I'd love your take on this because there's another thing that we think we're smart sometimes, and we notice things, and we then start avoiding things until we see a change. So I would love your take on this. So, for example, say about, I don't know, the partners and the patterns. The face is different, but then all of a sudden you're like, huh, this is interesting. This is very familiar to me again. And I thought I was being smart in the sense of like, do you know, I'm gonna work on me. I'm gonna have a break from all this. And yeah, like this is now my time to pour into me, and I'm not tolerating this nonsense. And again, it's not on them. It's something that I wanted to change. It was nothing about them. Those people were amazing in their own way and perfect for someone else. But going back to what you said of in your face, I realize now, which I will get to after that. So there's me thinking I'm smart, working on me, and avoiding all this stuff. And then it came in the form of a boss. It came in the form of a friend. So I really want to put this out there, and I would love your take on this. We should actually see, and we're not saying actively go and search for these people. These people will naturally come into our lives. But if you want to up level, you want to evolve, try to see why this pattern is here, like what you said. And what can you do in that moment instead of what I realized I definitely was doing was running. And then guess what the running did? Something else chased me with exactly the same. Is actually now I see, okay, what am I learning from this? What do I need to work on in myself in order for me to not necessarily, because I also don't believe there's like attracting this perfect person. I believe, and I'd love your take on this, we are almost like mirrors to one another, and what this person needs, this person is unintentionally going to mirror back, okay? And it's to help up level us, to help evolve us. And so I know that now when I'm going to be in that relationship, when I'm ready, that I need to do the work, not run away from it. And of course there'll be things that, you know, you're not going to tolerate, and it's like, actually this isn't for me. There are going to be non-negotiables. But most of the time, that person has entered your life for a reason, and there's something in it, there's a gem in it that will up-level you and help you and evolve together. Because I also think, and I'm not stereotyping here, I would love your take on this. I think maybe this was because I was in Dubai at the time, but I think there's this like, oh, this is too much, I'll find someone new. And there's this like flittering, but actually, if you really, really, really like someone, give it a go, work on it, and you never know, and that beauty of just growing together. Sorry, I know I just said a lot. I just looked a lot out to you then, but yeah, I'd love your take on that.
Okay, so in terms of working on yourself, it depends on how you define working on yourself, okay? Because people have different takes on what it means to work on yourself. Exactly like the term self-care. So a lot of people think self-care is putting a face mask on and having a bath.
Oh yeah.
Wow, no. That's not what it is. Self-care is really, and you know, doing work on yourself is really a process of self-exploration, understanding what your needs are and what your standards are, and what your negotiables and non-negotiables are, right? So getting a really good picture of what does that ideal relationship look like for you. Yeah. And that's the thing you should be really putting, you know, energy into if you're not currently in a relationship. I mean, also when you're in a relationship, you can always do this, right? But literally, I tell this to a lot of my clients and to a lot of people. Write a list of things that you really, really want in your relationship. And it can be anything. I'm telling you, it can be a really specific job that you want your partner to have. It can be, you know, very specific traits that you want to see. But most importantly, always refer it back to yourself. How do I want to feel? how do I want to turn up in a relationship, and what does the counterpart look like to that, right? Yeah. Like, do I want to be, let's say you're a cis woman and you want to turn up as, you know, the more submissive one, the person who's treated, you know, like a princess, but the man, you know, it's traditional roles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are that, then the man is more traditional in return, right? So that's how you get a good idea of like who do I want to be, and what would the ideal partner for me be like?
Yeah.
And then it really is important to know that no one is set in stone, not you and not the people around you. And that's always a bit of a tricky concept to wrap your head around, because we are told, oh, certain people will never change. That is also a belief. You don't want to hold on to these beliefs that keep you stuck and block you, right? So as I said, the outside world is a reflection, and with the outside world come people, right? Yeah. So people are also your reflection. So if you want to see something different, and it can be with specific people too, you've got to change the way you identify in relation to them.
Yeah.
So what that means is, if you end up in abusive relationships over and over again, there must be a part of you that still believes that you can be victimized in some form or another. And this has nothing to do with blame. It's just causation, and it will change your life if you give it a proper chance. So you want to see yourself as someone who's moved on from that role, someone who's empowered, someone who is worthy of the utmost respect, who gets treated with love, with care, who is safe, right? Tell yourself over and over again, tell yourself the new story, stick to it, and tell yourself, this is the important little tweak that will change things very quickly. Tell yourself that this is true for you right now.
Yeah.
Even if your circumstances show you the opposite, you have to persist. So I'm not saying if you're in an abusive relationship, you should stay in those circumstances. Absolutely not. We live in a physical world. Get yourself out of there, get yourself to safety, but still do the inner work.
Yeah.
You've got to start identifying as someone who gets respect and safety in relationships. And if you persist in the assumption, if you persist in that identity, the reflection has to change. There is no way around it, because there are some people who have a different pattern that keeps showing up because they persist in a different assumption, right?
Yeah.
You just want to understand, what am I persisting in at the moment? Oh, see, he cheated on me again. Oh, see, I didn't get this job offer again, someone else was chosen over me, I knew it. And then we call it intuition, but really it was just our programming repeating things.
I knew it. I'm so great at predicting all this, collecting more evidence of what I do not want. Yeah, I hear you.
Classic.
I feel like you just fed beautifully into something else I wanted to speak to you about, which is, oh, she's so lucky. So I would love you to touch on that, actually. I think that just ties beautifully together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like one extreme to the other, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so in my point of view, luck is man-made. We create our own luck, we control it, we make it, okay? And the way we make it is by choosing stories that are in line with what we want. Not telling ourselves, you know, like one of the biggest beliefs that I keep encountering from client to client, almost every single client I've ever looked after had that belief. And it's, I'm not good enough. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Guys, if you want to change your life, you need to treat every phrase you say to yourself as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it's a spell, right? Yeah. It's like you're putting spells out into the world. It's literally like that. So you've got to catch yourself when you say these things. So telling yourself you're unlucky, do you want that to be true? If the answer is no, stop telling yourself. Tell yourself you're the most damn lucky person in the world, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just as simple as that, but it is a perspective change. So, you know, our mind really loves what is familiar. Our mind always goes back to what is familiar. It's hardwired to go back to that because it feels safe with what it knows. So if there are things reoccurring in your life you don't know, you don't like, you have to make something different familiar. And that shall also be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. There is no difference. It's just that you have to persist in the new story. And your actions will naturally fall in line with it. You don't even have to worry so much about it, right? Because when you have the right thought process, you start acting differently and people pick up on that. So, you know, it really is what you put out, you get back.
Oh, I hear you. I actually have, and it's not a story, it's actually something true, but I actually have an example of what you just said. And I just want, I feel like it's just really relevant because, for example, when you're attempting, let's not say attempting, let's say when you are fulfilling, let's really go in there strong. When you are fulfilling what Kim has just really, really powerfully said, and you start implementing it into your life. If you were like me and you almost had not the complete opposite, but like there was a time where and I've said this probably before, but I was the funny girl who had the funny stories, which weren't actually that funny in my life, but they were a really funny story for everybody else. You know, I'd be the one that the ladder would fall on me, or I'd, you know, trip over something. It was just continuous, and I realized I invested a lot of my time and a lot of my words and a lot of my energy into making these feel better inside because they continuously happened. So I told everybody about them, and you know, and I was known for, oh, what happened to you today then? And I'd, you know, always have probably multiple things. And so obviously at the time when I understood what you've just said, and I wanted, you know, I realized the power of words, which is essentially what I think you said, and I really took this seriously. Because I think this is another thing. Like, you need to make the commitment to yourself. It doesn't matter about anyone else. You are the one that's in charge of your life and your reality, and you're the creator, whatever we want to call it. Just this needs to be super sharp, which I heard you say so beautifully. So imagine this. I'm now, you know, I'm not speaking this on my life anymore, and things are still happening. Let's just really bear that in mind, everybody. There's going to be a process. It's not like, oh, I've made the decision, now everything is perfect. No, it was still happening, and I really wanted to tell people, and I was like, nope. I'm not telling anybody that happened to me today. And you know, and they'd say, oh, what happened? And then all of a sudden I then had this new storyline of, I feel like a very boring person now because I was so conscious and so careful with my words. And I really want people to really understand this, because you are going to go through a transitional period. And then imagine the other side of it then, of people then speaking words on my life and me being like saying, oh, you're so clumsy. No, I'm not. And so imagine I was challenging everything. And then I remember, I won't say who it is, but I remember someone who definitely knows me very well turned around and said, you can't be perfect at everything. You can't just cancel everything out, because she knew exactly what I was doing. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm this. And like what you were saying, honoring and being the best version of myself. And it was really, I don't want to say triggering, but it was like, you can't be everything. You can't be clumsy, you know, because you can still have a personality. And I just felt like that was just a really relatable, beautiful example just to share. But yes, so I feel like more than us with our words and our belief and our commitment, you're gonna have resistance against other people, and just try to see the funny side of it. Try to see
totally. And also, you're touching upon something that I think will help people also understand a little bit why certain things might be reoccurring, and certain, you know, behaviors that we have a very particular function in our life, right? And you just said something that I kind of picked up on, which is like, oh, suddenly I seemed like the boring person.
Yeah.
And so it means that, that like unlucky streak that kept happening to you had a function for you. And the function was, I have something great to tell people, which makes them connect to me in a certain way, right? And so in order, to have a smoother transition, which there will always be, bumps in the road, and that's completely normal, just like you said. But to have a smoother transition, you want to start telling yourself, I am interesting no matter what. I don't need to prove that, right? I don't need weird things to happen to me for me to have a good story.
Leave the ladders at home, please, guys.
Exactly. If you see Shel like anywhere in the streets, take your ladders away. Pick up the banana peels off the floor.
I remember I had so much programming growing up of like, don't stand on 3 trains, don't do this, don't do that. This, the whatever, the birds and this, the black cat. And I was just like, can you imagine? I'm trying to navigate this world and I'm like, 3 trains, watch the cat.
Yeah.
And I just had to go, stop.
Yeah.
And like, I know there's probably people listening now, but I made that choice. I am 100%, like, everyone is allowed to believe what they want to believe, and your life will be a reflection of that. We're definitely not saying that, this is something you have to do. It's your life. What we're just saying is, if you would like, she's so lucky, then maybe consciously think about what you're creating in your life, because I hear that a lot now. Oh wow, you're so lucky. Okay, you believe that, but I know the process that it took to get to this point, and I know everything I did, and I'm sure you're exactly the same, Kim. Something that I would love to also touch on is you said something really, really important earlier. You said that I just want to make sure I say it correctly. You said, correct me if I don't say it right, but you said that it's gone out of my mind. Okay, I'll just say an example because I can't remember exactly what it was you said. So as you're changing, and I think you said an example of like something coming up in your life, and I feel like you said being aware of it and aware then to reword it and reframe it and change it.
Change the meaning, yeah.
Yes. So, but what my mind went to is the opposite. Because I think it's really important that we explore both ends of someone who is like, well, like has almost like not delusional, but like, well, no, I don't believe that. But they're having the unconscious programming, and this is why I think it feeds beautifully into hypnotherapy, I think. So I would love for you to address like someone who is like, well, no, I don't believe that, but then their kind of life is kind of not really showing that. I feel like that would lead beautifully into hypnotherapy and RTT.
Yeah, sure. So I have clients often who come to me with an issue that they have no clue why they have it, right? They don't know why they are anxious in very specific situations. They don't know why they're struggling with fertility. They don't understand why they're depressed and they can't get out of bed. And it is subconscious, so we don't always immediately know what's going on. Now we can consciously explore it by asking ourselves, how can I phrase it? We can explore it by asking ourselves, when did this first turn up? Right? When did this issue first turn up? What was going on in my life during that time? And does that connect to my childhood somehow? Because I promise you, most of these things connect to our childhood. Now, I often have clients as well who don't remember their childhood, so it's very hard for them to consciously make these connections. That's where hypnotherapy comes in beautifully, because we cut past the conscious mind. We stop wasting all this time trying to find the answers consciously, because your conscious mind is just the mind that feeds the subconscious mind over and over, right? It's not showing you the majority of things that are going on inside of you. So if what we do is I get people into hypnosis. When they're in that state, they're very suggestible, but they're also able to go back to memories very easily. Yeah. So I basically ask their mind to show us what memories caused this, right? What memories caused certain beliefs that are then giving you the depression, the anxiety, the issues with the fertility, right? So once you look at these memories, you see all the familiarity between the past and the present. You see exactly what happened back then that's repeating today. And it's always so fascinating. That's why I really love my job, because I see so clearly. It's like copy paste, right? Wow. It's like, oh, that happened back then, and now this is happening now. Do you see what's going on? And then I sometimes still have clients who are struggling to see that this is a complete reflection, right? But I always guide them, and eventually they have this big light bulb moment, this release. And that's the most beautiful part, when they finally understand that they are in charge, and that the reason why things are repeating is because they've taken on things from when they were very little.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then you get to change it. Honestly, you're never stuck with anything. You can change your mind on things. You can change your belief system at any point in your life. It doesn't make a difference if you're 20 or you're 70, right? Yeah. I work with that whole age range, and everyone gets to have a more fulfilled and joyful life without all of these blocks. So that's absolutely possible.
Wow, I love that. And what I really, really love that you highlighted is, because I think often, you know, and it's nothing on people that specialize in certain areas, but what I really, really loved that you touched on was it's the mind. It's something in the mind. So I know that lots of people now listening, and I think just there's an inner knowing often of, you just have that curiosity of like, oh, I wonder if you are feeling that, okay? Let's just think of the two sides here. You're thinking that and you're not sure. You stay the same. You're thinking that and you have this opportunity to connect with this incredible woman. And now I know that it will, but let's just play a little bit of, you know, devil's advocate here. It could significantly change something in your life. I don't know about you, but I think I would give that a go. So with that in mind, how can people contact you? How can people get in touch with you? This is incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I would be happy to connect to any of you and to talk it through. So you can get in touch with me either over social media. I'm on TikTok under Kim-Vivian _hypnotherapy, and the same name on Instagram as well. So you can contact me over these platforms, or you can just send me an email, which is kimvivianhypnotherapy@gmail.com. I have a website up. You can read loads of testimonials, watch some of my reels, you know, really get to know me. And the initial call is completely free. So if you just want to chat it through and you just want to see if this could be something for you, totally fine. No commitment needed. Just reach out and we'll chat about it and get to know each other.
Beautiful. And thank you so much, because I think the way you just said that is such a heart-centered approach. Because first of all, don't worry about going to pause and grab the pen. Everything will be in the show notes, so everything so you can contact her will be available in the description. But what I really loved, which shows your heart, is actually human to human. Just reach out. Let's just see if we get on, because I know things that are, you know, something out of our comfort zone, something, you know, we're thinking, oh, she knows things about the mind or things like that. Just give it a go, and you can more than see, you can feel her kindness, her love, her her passion for changing people's lives. And again, like what she just said, even if you're not sure about her, which I doubt that very much, she has other people on her website who will testify how amazing she is. And just already connecting with you, it's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, it's something that I'm very fascinated by because not to dive into it, but I had theta healing once. And yeah, and actually the moment when you just said about connecting and making sure everything's okay, it was the most loving experience I've ever had. I remember being in her home and she was holding my hand, and obviously I know like if it's virtual, but I just really want people to pick. I just feel like sometimes when you have a relatable example, it helps people connect with their mind of like, and I just remember she was just holding space for me like a really loving mother and was asking me questions, and even if I didn't know the answer, she'd be like, okay. And I can just imagine that from you. So I really want people to get away from the kind of clipboard and the and taking notes. This is heart-centered. This is person to person, and she wants to do nothing but just really help you figure out what it is and solve the problem of your life. Well, no, not solve the problem. I think that's the wrong thing to say. Just support you, because everything is within anyway, and you have the power yourself, but support you in identifying what it could potentially be.
Exactly. Wow, what a summary. Thank you so much. I feel honored.
No, I honestly, you deserve it. And just as a last thing that I really love all my guests to do, just whether you want to say intuitively or whatever comes to your mind, what would be something that you feel like someone listening right now would really benefit from hearing?
That's a really good question. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing is set in stone. And you are in charge of it all. And everything that you want is available to you and possible. So just keep that in mind, even if you're in a situation at the moment that feels hopeless.
Wow. I don't think that needs an explanation. That was really, really beautiful and powerful. I definitely will listen back to that again. That was really, yes, very strong. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I'm so excited for you, and I'm definitely going to go onto your website and listen to all the testimonials. And yeah, just thank you so much for saying yes and for showing up and for sharing all your beautiful knowledge, your wisdom, and your training and your understanding, and more than that, the way you show up and embody life. So thank you so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure to connect with you, and thank you for holding the space for me and allowing me to share my beliefs and share what I do, and spread, positivity and change, positive change. And yeah, I'm just very grateful that you gave me this opportunity.
You are so welcome, and just thank you so much.